Hello, 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 hello. Hello, you. How are you this morning? Hello, hello. You guys see the thumbnail. You guys see the moniker, right? Hi, Swanky Yar. My mama and my grandmother. And what inspired this show was the Nolan Wells case, right? My mama told me a long time ago, my grandmother told me a long time ago that white folks were dangerous. White folks were dangerous. Now I know that sounds kind of crazy, but some of y'all already gonna be mad, and I ain't even got started. So, but I grew up in a time when black parents said things like this to their children. They did not whisper it. They didn't dress it up. They said it because they believed it needed to be said. Okay, it needed to be known. And when I heard about Nolan Wells, I heard my mama's voice again. I heard my mama's voice. Nolan was 18. He went out with people he knew. He went to an island. He never came home alive. We do not know yet exactly what happened to him. And I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything wrong. It's not what I'm accusing people of. But something about that story brought back every warning I heard when I was growing up. Don't go off somewhere by yourself with a bunch of white folk. Don't tell everybody your business. Don't think you can do everything they can do and get the same consequences. Watch what you say, watch how you react, pay attention when you're the only black person in the room, and always make sure somebody knows where you are. These were not things I read in a book. These are things black people told their children. And I started to wonder why. Why so many black parents believed their children needed these warnings? What had they seen? What had happened to them? What had happened to somebody they knew? Because my mama was not a hateful woman, not at all. She did not teach me to hate white people. I have had white friends my whole life, so this was never about friendship. This was about danger, physical danger, workplace danger, the danger of trusting the wrong person with your business, the danger of forgetting that when something goes wrong, the same rules don't apply to you. So today I want to talk about what our parents told us, why they told us, and whether somewhere along the way we got comfortable enough to stop listening. And maybe parents these days ain't telling their black children these things. Okay? Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Our parents did not make these warnings up. They lived long enough to know that danger did not always announce itself. Sometimes it looked like a man in a white hood, but sometimes it looked like a coworker you had known for 10 years. Sometimes it was a police officer. Sometimes it was a neighbor, a teacher, a boss, or somebody you thought was a friend. That was the part they wanted us to understand. The white people who smiled at you could still be the person who got you fired. The friend who loved you could still stand silently by when their family called you a name. The coworker who laughed with you every day could repeat one thing you said in confidence and change how everyone in that building looked at you. Our parents had seen black people accused of things they did not do. They had seen white children and black children make the same mistake and only one child has to pay for it. They had seen black people work twice as hard and still lose the job, the promotion, or the house. And yes, they had seen physical danger too. They knew there were places that a black person could walk into and not be safe. They knew there were people who could hurt us and still be believed before we were. They knew that if something happened and nobody else saw it, our word might not be enough. See, when my mama told me white people were dangerous, she was not giving me a list of people to hate. She was telling me not to be careless. See, I went I grew up in a time where I'm 60, so I grew up in a time where they didn't. It was very covert, this racism and all of this. We knew it was there, but we really didn't know it was there. And so I went to all girls school all my life until I graduated and went to college. All girls school. So basically, I was surrounded by all white girls. And in my high school, it was only seven of us, seven black girls, us seven black girls, right? And the seven black girls, we decided one day that we would have a pact, that we would have a pact that if something happened or we said a certain word or we did a certain thing, then we knew that we had to protect each other. Okay. It was only seven black girls in this all Catholic girl high school that I went to when I was growing up. So I kind of knew when my mom told me, be careful, blah, blah, blah. She was telling me that knowing somebody was not the same as knowing what they would do when things got ugly. Laughing with somebody was not the same as knowing whether they would tell the truth when telling the truth cost them something. That is where these warnings came from. They came from black people who had already learned the hard way that sometimes the danger was not the person you knew hated you. Sometimes it was the person you never thought you had to worry about. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. So what did they actually tell us? What did our black parents tell black children, people my age? What did we hear from our parents? They told us, don't go off somewhere with a bunch of white folks by yourself. Don't get on a boat. Don't go camping. Don't go deep into the woods or end up somewhere you can't leave on your own. If you're going, somebody better know where you are, who are you with, and when you're supposed to be back. They told us, don't tell white people all your business. That did not mean you could never have a real friendship. It meant everybody smiling in your face. It meant everybody smiling in your face had not earned the right to know your problems, your family business, what you thought about the boss, or what you plan to do next. Because something you said on Tuesday could come back wearing a whole different outfit on Friday. They told me, my mother told me, don't think you can do everything white people can do. They might get drunk and act a fool. They might talk back to the police. They might break a rule at work. They might get loud in a store. But if you joined in, you'd better understand that everybody might not pay the same price. They told me to watch the jokes because sometimes people will tell you exactly what they think about you and call it a joke to see what you will let them get away with. Then if you get offended, suddenly you're too sensitive. If you laugh along, they get more comfortable. You notice how they got a new thing where they say chimping out and all that other garbage on the internet. You see that's a test. Those are the kind of tests that they try to give you. My parents told me don't let nobody make me so angry that I become the story, that I become the issue. Because the minute a black person gets loud, the whole argument can change. Nobody remembers what was done to you. Now everybody is talking about your attitude, your tone, and how afraid somebody else felt about you. My mama told me to pay attention when we were the only black people in the room. Not because everybody in the room was our enemy, but because if something went wrong, we needed to know where we stood. Who had the power, who would be believed, who would back us up, who would suddenly forget what they saw. And with that token in mind, if I happen to be in a room, I go to a party, I go anywhere, I go to a corporate meeting, I go to anything, I make sure that I locate all black people that might be in my surrounding area. I always make sure I have some black people that are in the room with me. Okay. Not because they are my enemy, but because if something went wrong, I need to know where I stand and who I can stand with. And my mama told me never to assume that being liked meant being protected. That may have been the biggest warning that she gave me right there. Because you can be invited, you can be included, You can be called a friend. You can sit at the table, ride in the car, get on the boat, go on the trip, and still find out when something goes wrong that you were never as safe as you thought you were. Those were the things my mama told me. At the time, some of it sounded like fear. Some of it sounded like our parents were stuck in the past. But they had already seen what could happen when a black person forgot that being comfortable and being safe were not always the same goddamn thing. Okay? Now, none of this meant we could not have white friends. That was never the point. Black people have always had white friends. We've worked together, lived next door to each other, gone to school together, fallen in love together, got married, and raised families, built real relationships. I have had white friends my whole life. So when my mama told me white people were dangerous, she was not telling me that every white person was dangerous. She was telling me that friendships did not make me immune from what could happen. Because sometimes the person who betrays you is not the person who hates you. Sometimes it's the person who likes you but does not like you enough to risk anything for you. They like you until their family has a problem with you. They support you until their friends start looking at them funny. They believe you until believing you means questioning another white person. They're your friend until standing beside you costs them something. And that is where a lot of black caution comes from. Somebody has seen that betrayal before. Somebody has seen that betrayal. Okay? Somebody has seen it. Maybe it happened. Maybe it happened to you. Maybe it happened to your mama. Maybe it happened to somebody at work. Maybe you watch the black person trust somebody, tell them everything, and then watch that same information get used against them. Maybe you watch somebody laugh at a racial joke because they didn't want to make the room uncomfortable, only to realize later that the joke was telling them exactly what those people thought about you. Maybe you watched a disagreement turn into a white person crying, a Karen. And suddenly, the black person who had been wronged was the one everybody was afraid of. Maybe you watched a group of people all do the same goddamn thing, but when consequences came down the line, somehow you was the only one standing there by yourself. That is why friendship and caution were never a contradiction. You could love people and still pay attention. You could trust white folks and still know that trust had its limits. You could have white friends and still understand that there were things they never had to think about because the world had never forced them to. My mama, my parents were not telling me to walk through life afraid of every white person I met. They were telling me not to let friendship make us forget everything they had learned the hard way. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Hold on. Let me show you something. Okay? That's wild. Hold on. My thing is trying to get crazy. Okay? Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Okay? Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Okay? As I said, none of this meant we couldn't have white friends. Okay? None of that meant that. And I hate to put it that way, but that's the way it is. And then there were the stories that make old warnings come rushing back. The memories come washing back. This is what happened to me when I heard about Nolan Wells. An 18-year-old boy goes out with people he knows. He ends up on an island. He does not come home alive. Now, we still don't know exactly what happened. And I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I want to be clear about that. But when I heard the story, I heard my mama talking to me. Don't go off somewhere isolated where you can't get back on your own. Make sure somebody knows where you are. Pay attention to who you're with. Don't start drinking around folks you don't know. Those words came back back to me because Nolan is not the first black person whose story has made black people ask uncomfortable questions about trust and safety. Tamla Horsford, she went to an adult sleepover in Georgia. She was the only black woman there. The next morning, she was found dead in the backyard. In the backyard. Authorities concluded that her death was an accident, of course, and no one was charged with it. But her family questioned what happened, and the case became one more story that made black people look at each other and say, see, this is what our parents were talking about. I was listening to this chick over there on the TikTok, or what is it called? TikTok. She was a half-white chick. She was on some kind of boat. She was on some kind of boating event. I don't know what happened. And the driver of the boat said something about a monkey in the middle. Something about a monkey in the middle. And then she got on the internet like she was clueless. Why didn't nobody stick up for you? You were surrounded by all white folks. She was the only black person on the boat. And then the announcer, there was an entertainer, and the entertainer said, monkey in the middle, and he was saying something like that. And she was the only black person on the boat. Sitting there looking stupid. Mama said, don't do that. That's what my mama told me not to do. So that was just a recent incident that came to mind when I heard about this Nolan Wells. Then there was Peter Spencer. He went on a camping trip in rural Pennsylvania with a white coworker and other people. He was shot 9 times. The man who shot him claimed self-defense, and prosecutors didn't bring charges. And there was Alonzo Brooks. He went to a party in Kansas where he was the only one of a few black people there. He disappeared that night. His body was later found, and his death remains unsolved. Different people, different places, different circumstances. I'm not saying these cases are all the same, because they're not. I'm not saying every person who was there was guilty of something, because I do not know. I am telling you why black people hear these stories differently from white people. We hear them through every warning we got as children. If you had any parents that cared enough to tell you about these things, they told you. Don't go off somewhere by yourself. Don't be somewhere you can't leave on your own. Make sure somebody knows where you at. And then comes a question that terrifies every family. You left home with people you believed you were safe to go out with. So how did you end up dead? That's the physical danger our parents were talking about. They knew hatred did not always introduce itself, and danger did not always look dangerous when you first walked into the room. Sometimes you thought you were just going to a party. Sometimes you thought you were just going camping. Sometimes you thought you were just going out on the water with friends. Okay. And that is why Nolan Wells brought my mama's words back to me. Not because I know what happened to him, because I don't, but because I finally understand why my mama believed I needed to be warned. Somewhere along the way, I think a lot of us stopped telling our children these things. Oh no, everything is fine. Everything is perfectly okay. My mama said, you can get killed. White folk can get you killed. Okay. Maybe we thought the world had changed enough that they did not need to hear this. The children of today. Our children grew up going to school with white folks, playing on the same team, sleeping at each other's houses, going to college together, working together, dating each other. Their lives were more integrated than ours had ever been. Mine had ever been. And maybe we did not want to pass down that fear. I don't know. We did not want our children looking at every white person as a threat. We wanted them to be free to make their own friends and judge people for themselves. We wanted them to walk in the rooms we had once been kept out of and feel like they belong there. We wanted that for our children. So some of us stopped saying the things My parents said to me, we stopped saying, watch yourself. Everybody smiling in your face ain't your friend. Don't do everything you see them do. Make sure somebody knows where you are. Maybe those warnings started out sounding too old fashioned. Maybe they sounded too suspicious. Maybe they sounded like something from a world we wanted to believe our children no longer belonged in or lived in. But did the world change enough for us to stop? That's the question I keep coming back to. Because I don't want black children growing up afraid of white people. They wary. I don't want them believing every white friend will betray them or every invitation is a trap. But I also don't want them so comfortable with y'all that they ignore what's happening around them. There's a difference between teaching fear and teaching awareness. And I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, this is awareness. We black folks are aware of you white folks. We teach awareness to our children. Be aware of them. You can tell your children to have friends and still tell them to pay attention. You can teach them not to judge every white person and still tell them that everybody will not get the same benefit of the doubt. The grace that they get, you may not get. You can tell them to live their lives and still make sure they understand that sometimes the consequences will not fall equally upon you. Maybe our parents went too far sometimes. I don't know. Fear can do that. Pain can do that. But maybe we went too far in the other direction. Maybe we got so determined not to pass down our fear that we also stopped passing down some of our wisdom. And now I'm 60 years old, looking at stories like Nolan Wells and hearing things my mama told me when I was a kid. Maybe the words were hard. Maybe they were uncomfortable. But I understand now why she said those to me. She said them to me. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. My mama told me a long time ago, white people can be dangerous. I didn't fully understand what she meant then. I understand now. She was not telling me that every white person I met would hurt me. She was not telling me I could not have white friends. She was not telling me to walk through life hating white people. She was telling me not to be careless. She was telling me that everybody who likes you will not protect you. Everybody who invites you somewhere is not responsible for your safety. Everybody who laughs with you will not tell the truth when telling the truth costs them something. She was telling me that I could not always do what everybody else did and expect the same consequences. Like I said, I went to all girls school all my life until I went to college. Okay. So us black girls, who were the only black girls within these schools, we had codes for each other. If we were in trouble, if this, if that, if this, if that. Okay. And yeah, that was a lot to put on a black child, to tell a black child that. We had to think about the things other children did not have to think about. Black boys have to worry about getting home at night when they're driving in the car. Say this, say that. Don't do this, don't do that. These are the lessons that we have to learn as black children. Okay? And a lot of people are looking at these pictures with this Nolan character and this other girl and a couple other people. It's been a couple of weird things that have gone on, and looked and said, did their parents tell them to be careful, to not let your guard down? Did those parents tell those kids that? Okay. Because they seem mighty comfortable. Okay. We had to do a lot of things other children didn't have to think about or do. We had to read the room, watch our tone, control our anger, know who had the power, know when to leave, know when something that sounded like a joke was really a warning. If it's two black people and one black person is leaving, you leaving too, right along with that black person. Okay. Don't get caught in no situation where you the only black girl in the room. Knowing something like a joke sounds like that's really a warning. That was the mental gymnastics. But sometimes the danger was physical. Sometimes it really was about where you went, who you went with, and whether you came home. And that's why the story of Nolan Wells brought all of this back to me. Okay. I don't know what happened to that young man. I'm not going to accuse people when the facts are not there, but I know what I felt when I heard the story. I heard my mama talking in the back of my mind. No, because I went to a school all my life with only a whole with school was full of white folks, nothing but white girls, and it was 7 black girls, and we all went to school together. I knew I couldn't go nowhere. I knew I wasn't going to no slumber parties. I knew I wasn't going over nobody's house to do X, Y, and Z. I knew I wasn't going to go do camping trips. I wasn't going to go. He wasn't going to go nowhere by myself. Not with him. My daddy wasn't trying to hear all that. So when I heard this story, I heard my mama. And maybe that is what bothers me the most. I thought those words belonged to another time. I'm 60. I thought those words, I just thought they belonged to a different time. I thought they belonged to my childhood, to my mama's generation, to a world we had moved far beyond. But here I am 60, asking myself whether we stopped passing down warnings because the danger disappeared or because we got tired of living like we had to be afraid. I don't want our children to be afraid, but I do want them aware. I made a video a couple weeks ago about the fact that no, we as black people don't hate. As a whole, we don't hate white people. We just understand we have studied y'all. We have studied y'all in a way that you have never studied us. You never had to study us. You never had to understand what we wanted, how we felt, what we wanted to do, how our life was, what struggle we had. You never had to study that. You never wanted to study us black people. But we as black people, we had to study you because we had to figure out what direction the wind was blowing. We had to figure out people like Donald Trump. We had to figure out people who felt like Donald Trump. We had to figure out how we were going to navigate the world because the police came to your defense quicker than they came to mine. So I had to watch what I say and what I do. So we, as black people, studied y'all, white folks. It's not a matter. It's as a whole, as a collective, we don't hate you. We just wish you had better. You just felt more. We don't hate you. We're just wary. Let's put it that way. Instead of getting into it, we're just wary of white people. Most black people are. We're wary of you because we don't know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. We know that you're going to do something. We just don't know what it is. And we always have to brace ourselves. That's it. We brace ourselves when we have to get around you white people. We have to brace ourselves because you could turn on a dime. We will say, hey, we will have friendship with you, kinship with you, but we're always wary of when you turn on a Jekyll and Hyde face. She's my friend today, but she might stab me in the back tomorrow. Okay? But we ain't surprised when you try to stab us in the back later on. We ain't surprised because we already have the armor on. We already understand that would be your nature to do that. And history has taught us that this would be your nature to do that. You turn on a dime because you always will pick the whiteness or the supremacy before you will pick humanity. This is just something our parents taught us. Most black people don't hate you. We just wary of you. We have to study you. We understand the brutality of it. We understand all of it. That's why you have people. That's why we gave you the clearest message that a man like when the election came, we as a collective, us black people, gave you the most clearest message about what a person like Donald Trump could do if they were in power. We gave the clearest message of saying, no, we didn't want that. We don't want these people deported. We don't want this. We don't want X, Y, and Z. As a collective, that's what we came across and said. But white folks, you chose your whiteness over your humanity. And it wasn't a surprise. That's why you have us standing down from any kind of fight, any kind of confrontation, any kind of anything. Because we can't keep fighting against something when people don't see when people don't understand what's going on. So we're wary of white people. It's not that we hate you, we don't hate you, we just wary of you. We understand the nature. We understand your nature. We understand it. History has taught us. Okay. But I don't want my grandchildren and children to be afraid. I just want them to be aware of this. Have white friends, love who you love, go to school together, work together, travel, live your life. But pay attention and be aware. Know where you are, know who you're with, know who you're getting, know how you're getting home. Don't ignore the joke that tells you something about the person telling it. Don't assume everybody will pay the same price when something goes wrong. Don't mistake being invited for being protected. My mama's words were harsh. Maybe today we would say them differently. Maybe it would be something different. But I finally understand what she was trying to tell me. She was not teaching me who to hate. She was teaching me how to come home, how to make it home. Because I might not make it home if I trusted the wrong individuals. And this Nolan character didn't make it home after he trusted the certain individuals. That Tamala Horsford, she didn't make it home after she trusted certain individuals at an adult slumber party. Like I said, in no way, shape, or form is it hate. It's wariness. It's wariness. And people keep saying, oh, I got black fatigue. No, you don't know. You don't know what fatigue is. Black folk, we have white fatigue. We really, really do. Okay? We really, really do. We're tired of saying these things and people not believing us. We're tired of doing these things and white people not understanding why we do these things. Why we tell our sons, make sure you're driving correct and right and doing all the things you're supposed to do, because they like to unalive folks. That's why I say, my parents used to tell me, white folks are dangerous. They're more dangerous than black folks, because out of fear, they will hurt you out of fear. Even though there's nothing to be afraid of, I can walk into a store right now and I'm the only black person in there, and every fucking white person will be conscious of me in the store like I'm some kind of degenerate. But that's not how us black people navigate the world. We don't navigate it like that. We don't look at all of y'all as though you do something dangerous. We don't look at you like that. Only specific situations, specific people do we think that way about. But the thing is, out of fear, I could get killed in a store and I ain't even raised my hand or my voice. So I'm always wary of where I'm at, who I'm with, and how I am. Okay. I've never been betrayed by anybody on this planet except a white woman. I've never been betrayed by anybody except a white woman. I'm saying we don't hate white people. We're wary of white people. And we, like I said, we have had to study y'all. So we understand everything about you all. We understand everything about you all. As a collective, we understand everything. You all never wanted to get to know us and figure out what we thought, how we thought, when we thought. That's my whole point of this channel. This whole point of this channel is to inform people of what, when, and how. When it comes to black people and how we relate to the world and the things that happen in our world. This Nolan Wells coming up dead inspired this rant. because who knows what happened, how, when, and where. All I know is my mama told me that y'all white people are dangerous and I have to watch out for you. And I still have that same feeling that I had to teach my children the same thing. I hated that I had to say those things. I hated that. But in a world where fear will make somebody shoot you, fear will get the police called on you, fear will make people question you when you shouldn't even be questioned, fear will make it so that you can't get a job when you're perfectly qualified. Take uh, uh, take into account Hegseth firing all these black and women and all of these things in this in his role as the Department of Defense, Secretary of Defense. All of these things, fear, white fear, can get me killed, and I'm the least fearful person. Okay, so these are the things we have to tell our children about. These are the things. It's not that we make them fear. It's not that we give them this information for them to fear you. No, we give them this information to be wary of you. Okay, to be wary and never let your guard down around people, even though people say they're your friend. They may not be your friend. And this can be black or white, whatever. Just don't do it. But specifically towards the white folks. And this is why this Nolan Wells resonates. This story resonates with a lot of black people, because our parent people my age, we were taught you ain't going to be able to trust it, because there's too many Karens out there willing to put you in jail for no reason, willing to get you shot, willing to get you killed for no reason, because they're afraid, and we're not trying to do that. So, as I said, if you like, should my black grandchild fear me? Should your black grandchild fear you? I don't know. What's in your heart? What's in your heart? I don't know what's in your heart. Hello, you. Hello, you. Hello, live and surviving. The stories we open. Yes, scary. This is a scary thing. I need to be deported immediately. Where would I be deported to, Rager? I'm from here. I was probably born here. And I've probably been here. Ancestors been here longer than yours. Okay. And whooped us for not going to church. Wow. That's crazy. Why are black people so racist? We're not racist. We're just aware of you. It's not it has nothing to do with your skin color. We just understand the nature. That's all. And you is right. He said I wouldn't call people racist, but when you can't go 24 hours without being reminded of our skin color, it does make one sensitive to the subject. Yes, another racist black person. Why is it that every time y'all come over here talking to me about racism, you never say anything to your family members? You never go over to your white channel and say, why are you speaking to black people about black people like this? Why you don't ever confront your family members when they talk racist? Why don't you ever do that? Why is it that you always run over here and talk to black people about why they're racist, but you never want to talk to your brother, your sister, your grandma, your auntie, and tell them why are they racist? That's wild. That's wild to me. Okay? It doesn't apply to you. Where do you live? I bet if we found a subject that you related closely to, we would be able to never let you forget it. Right. So now you're judging. That's wild. You cannot be the only black person on the trip with white people that don't actually love you. I was just wondering where all of this happened. I don't know what the hell is going on with this story with this young man. Okay. I don't know what the hell is going on with this story with this young man. All we know is that young man never came home. Okay. That's all we know. Shadow banned. You need to be shadow banned because you're retarded. And it must be the autistic thing. Okay. Must be. Okay. I'm from Australia. We don't really have a big race issue like you doing. Yes, I I get it. And we wouldn't have a big race issue. We don't have a race issue unless somebody else brings up the race. We can't seem to overcome it. We cannot seem to overcome it. Okay? We cannot seem to overcome it. And it's if you never said anything about being black or white or anything else, we wouldn't have a problem. Okay? Yes, you're dumb. Democrats are retarded. So are Republicans. That's what you are. Film told me to know your place. Yeah, a lot of people said all of these things. You're 6 times more likely to get killed by a Negro than you will a white person. Yeah, okay. But the point is, you guys, a lot of you guys are Karens. And a lot of you guys like to call the police and pull guns out and shit like that. And that's wild. And he ain't 6 times more likely to get killed by a Negro than you. Yeah, but still, I'm gonna trust myself in a room full of black people first before I trust myself in a room full of white folks. Though it just is what it is. I just was raised that way. I amen. It created a God curse. That's wild. How dare you not like me now? Now I hate you. Yeah, that's crazy. White people evolved from being so far north they didn't need a natural protection from. Boy, who cares? Nobody cares. You don't care. The what you don't care. Why you here? Stop upset. No, I don't obsess. We black people don't obsess over the white people. Y'all obsess over us. Y'all obsess over us. We wouldn't have nothing to say or do if y'all wasn't around like that. That's wild. I'm just telling you the things my parents used to teach me as a young girl. Okay? Used to teach me as a young girl. It wasn't racist stuff. It was just, I have to be wary of you. Okay? I just have to be wary of you. Has nothing to see, that's the difference. Y'all don't get the difference. The difference is my parents didn't turn around and say white folks are dirty, nasty, low IQ, blah blah blah. My parents didn't say any of that. My parents said you have to be wary of white people. That's not racist. That's just telling me I have to be aware. You all tell your kids we're dumb, low IQ, we blah blah blah. We don't take care of family. We don't have father. Y'all the one who tell y'all kid those things. Those things are racist. We don't tell our kids stuff like that about white folks. We just tell them you need to be wary of these things. You need to be aware of where you're at, who you're talking to, who your friends are. We tell you to be wary. There's a big, big difference between telling your child to be wary of certain people and telling your child that those people stink. Okay? That's way hella different. Okay? Way hella different. Okay? Okay, 70% of black women paid by someone who don't owe. That don't even make sense. As a white man, I won't even go on a boat with others. No sleep. RIP to young man. I hope justice is served. I don't know what happened. Maybe he just fell off the boat and fell into the water. Maybe he just bumped his head. Who knows? They haven't released those. They haven't released the the all the evidence and whatnot. So we don't know what happened to that young man. We hope it was not foul play. Who knows? We don't know. Okay. At 9 years old, you rob gas stations. Wow. Don't see point dude. And don't see point dude. It's obvious paid by. Yeah. Okay. So all humans are the descendants of God. Of course. Of course. I believe all of these things. And I believe all of these things. Okay. EBT Section 8, act like you don't know. Why are you too stupid to understand that white folks get more of that than black folks? Why are you too stupid to understand that the what's? Stop talking in talking points. Y'all need to grow up. For real, for real. You act like that shit hurts me. I ain't never had that shit. It don't hurt me. So saying it in my chat makes no difference. That's wild. Just crazy. Be wary of being expected to get a job. Yeah, okay, be wary of being expected to get a job. I would think my job would be more. I think my job would be better than yours. I would think that. So stop saying that dumb shit in my chat. And that affects people of all races. Okay. Don't want no job. Ancestor had it hard 100 years ago, so I'm old. Meanwhile, Africans come here and succeed because they work instead of big. That's wild. Seeing as how when the Africans come here, they already have 3, 4, 5 legs up. They already come here because they got money. A plane ticket from Nigeria ain't cheap. What are you talking about? Lady, you smart. I don't think stupid there. No white boogeyman, no black boogeyman. Devil comes in all colors and they're stupid and all right. Yes, they are. They are, yeah. And I believe it, I believe it, I believe it. I'm just telling you, these are things that my parents taught me as a kid to be wary of white folks because things might happen. Not being unalive, that's not what I'm saying. But definitely be confronted by Karens and definitely be confronted by police that may or may not believe you. These are things that my parents taught me. Not racist things, not they smell like trash or they be on EBT or anything like that. You get folks in this comment section trying to throw all these stereotypes out at me, and I ain't met none of them. Never had none of them, and probably never will. That's not the point. The point is to listen to the message, okay? And I'm not racist in any way. Not that's just dumb. I think you have a low IQ when you can't think beyond color. If you can't think beyond color, then something is wrong with you. I don't look at people and see that this is inherently a bad person because this person is black or white or Asian. What I don't ever look at a person like that. I look at people how I take people how they treat me. That's how I take them. Okay. Yeah, slavery is a choice. I got that. Only retards would say something like that. But then, you know what? Hey, I got plenty of retards that be hitting my button. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Black America. Thank you guys for showing up. And I will be back later with more content. Of course I will. Of course. Let's check out what's going on in the world. Let's check out what's going on in the world. I will be back.